Over 40 kiosks, some cars, and a bar were burned there, and you heard some of the residents in that area counting their losses. The residents are unhappy, and this is not the first time it is happening there. They suspect the fire was deliberate, and this is one of the fires that has been experienced. Is one of many fires we've experienced last week since we entered 2020. To help with some education in the studio to prevent and control such fires is Assistant Station Officer with Public Relations Department of the Ghana National Fire Service, Michael Walter Okai. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
January is only a week old,
yeah,
and we're seeing too many fires already. Too bad.
Yes, it's very bad. That means somebody is not doing something right. Yes, and the general public, we've warned them. In fact, we started with the Yuletide. You know, the Yuletide is normally associated with the Harmattan season. And when the Harmattan sets in like that, normally all the flammable materials goes very dry. The Harmattan takes the moisture out of the flammable material. So anytime any flammable substance comes into contact with fire, it burns everything. It burns everything. In fact, that is a sad one. I was at a sister station this morning when I heard fire had broke out at the Achimota overhead there. I learned there. But what are some of the activities that goes on in those slum areas? You see, it has been a challenge. How do they cook? Where do they cook? Normally, most of their buildings are even wooden structures, which are highly flammable in the Harmattan season. You understand? So, in fact, it's a sad one. But just like we started by saying, we've had Assad on the 3rd of January. Then we've had 243 fires. In fact, I have lost count because today is a holiday and our statistical department is not working. So I wouldn't be able to give you the exact numbers. But as at Friday when we're leaving the office, then we had from 24th, that is December, to Friday 3rd January, then we had, then the service we've recorded 243 fires.
Wow.
Within the space of 11 days.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, this is interesting. And of course, speaking about the slum areas and all of that, it gives me indication that you are aware of the kind of activities that goes on. I'll look at how you educated the public before we entered the festivities or the Yuletide. But again, the Harmattan could be a major factor. But what's your own assessment of the situation? You're counting over 200 fires already.
Yes, yes. In fact, the fire service, I would say, we have moved away from firefighting. And the major thing we are doing now is to prevent the fires from occurring. So what we do now is to go out there and educate the general public on how to prevent the fires from occurring. You understand? Yes, so that is the role we have taken now, rather than going to fight the fires. But the main issue is the general public is not adhering to all the safety measures we put out there. That is a major problem we are confronted with as an organization. Because before the Yuletide, we had people visiting our markets, visiting our lorry stations, visiting schools and churches to educate them. You understand? We have 5 main causes of fires, which are carelessness, ignorance, accident, arson, and then natural causes. That is what we call
but just over 200 that you've already recorded, what were the causes? Were they just accidents? Were they, what were the causes?
In fact, most of them are under investigation. But what we can say is, if we take out of God out, then 4 are human factors. You understand? So it is somebody's carelessness, it is somebody's ignorance, it is somebody's whatever you choose to say, if it's accident or arson that have caused all these fires. You can't rule anything out. You understand? But if you ask me, normally carelessness has been the major cause of the fires in our respective homes.
Many are accusing the fire service, for instance, that your level of awareness creation is not enough, especially when we are entering into these seasons and you know that some of these things happen around this time. You should intensify your education programs, your campaign. Did you do that? Yes,
we did. In fact, normally what happens is from the last quarter to the first quarter, that spans from October to March. You understand? That is when you have the Yuletide, and then the Harmattan also sets in. So we normally have a program for that last period and then the first period. The chief officer launched an operation Xmas free, fire free Xmas.
Yeah.
You understand? And after. And so you realize we were going to the market, we were going to, just like I talked about the various areas. You understand? So the education is being done. But what is the general public's interest? What is the Ghanaian interest? How do we take safety? You understand? That has been the major problem. We sometimes take safety as a 9-day wonder. But meanwhile, safety is supposed to be a way of life. Safety is a culture. That is how you live. You understand? So that is the major problem. And it is a way of life.
Okay.
You understand? So you don't practice it today and then forget about it tomorrow. That has been a major problem.
How often do you embark on such education?
In fact,
programs?
the education is nationwide, is for the whole year.
Do you do it only, I mean, at the end of the year?
No, it's not only at the end of the year. In fact, we've had safety weeks, we have all sorts of programs. That is why I started by saying that we have moved away from waiting for the fires to occur before fighting to safety now. So what is safety? Safety is measures put in place to help prevent or reduce the occurrences of fires. So what we are doing now is to prevent the fires from occurring. So our major task as an organization now is to go out there to educate, and that's exactly what we are doing.
But one other thing that has been pointed out, I mean, and that goes against the fire service, is that your response time. Because when the fire happens, I mean, from the time the fire happens and when the fire service gets there, we can actually contain the fire and maybe control the damage. But many a times we're told that the fire service does not come on time when they are called. The response time is also a problem.
Yes, people have always chastised the fire service for that. But then let me start by saying this. Normally, you know what they do? I don't know if you've had the opportunity to visit a fire scene before. They tell you, we call the fire service, and the fire service was not coming. But you get closer to them, you find out who they called, and then they, we called so-and-so FM station. Today, this morning, I was on a sister station when these fires occurred. Instead of calling the fire service, they called the FM station. What do the FM stations do? They only put it on air. If the firemen are listening to us, we learned there's a fire and so-and-so place. That was how it was reported. You understand? So if I may even ask, do you know the number to the fire service?
Of course, and it comes back to your education, I mean, the public awareness and the campaign you embark on. If people do not know the toll-free number to call fire service, that's a problem, and we should blame the fire service for that.
In fact, even if you see the fire vehicles, you have the number 192 written on it. The fire service, that is the major. Anywhere we go, anywhere we find ourselves, we tell people that, look, when there's fire, call 192. But how many people even have it on their phones? Okay. It will interest you to know, just this Sunday, I went to church service to educate a church. I asked of the fire service number, and nobody had it. In fact, finally, somebody had to Google before they got the number. People kept saying 99919 something and a whole lot. Okay. You see, that is the problem.
So what's the correct number?
The correct number is 192.
That's the only number. So if I call and it is engaged, I have to still wait till it's free. You see, then I can report that there's fire somewhere.
The system is designed such that, you understand, when you call, when 10 people are calling at a time, the 192 will go because it's an emergency line. Okay. You understand? So call waiting. So what happens is the calls will queue, but they will not tell you that it is call waiting. Okay. You understand? And you know, normally kids are those who normally have our numbers. Okay. And we have well over 4,000 prank calls in a day. So as at the time you are calling and the fire service is not responding, it's not to say that they deliberately, but what is happening is there may be some kid somewhere. Somebody is on the line. Okay. You understand? Somebody may be on the line.
That's
if 10 people are calling at a time.
So is it not possible to have more of the numbers so that if this one is engaged, the other one can work?
Oh yes, we
have. Because if all the calls are being queued, if you have 10 calls and you have to queue and wait for the other to finish to respond to the other before, if you are number 10, then that's a problem.
That is a major problem. That is a major problem. But
and
we have
and how are you dealing with that?
You understand? We have other numbers. It's not only the 192. That is the toll-free line. But we have other numbers that you can call. So I would rather encourage people living in wherever you stay, the district, locality, wherever you see, make sure you get to the fire service and get their contact numbers. You understand? So in case of anything, if you call the 192 and nobody is responding, call the other lines, and then somebody.
How are you using the media to make this easy? Now you're telling people to go to the district fire service office before they can get them.
No, that is the locality in which you stay.
And I'm saying that is it not easy to just punch a button, and I mean the media is there, everybody in Bumpurungo, in every village can switch on their television and get the numbers all the time. If you're running adverts and all those campaigns, people can be watching their television. They don't need to move to the offices to get the numbers. Are you making use of the media in preventing fires?
Yes, exactly. We in fact, we have the software. Let me take opportunity to thank Daily Graphic and Ghanaian Times. They have been doing marvelously well because they've always published our emergency lines, sometimes to the districts, the regions, and other things. So it is always there. But you see, the Ghanaian mentality, instead of taking something that is safety, we would rather prefer something else. So, in fact, it has been a major problem.
That's a problem, but if you're also executing your mandate, you should definitely find a way out. There must always be a way out. The Ghanaian mentality is there, but how is the fire service making use of what they have to prevent fires?
Yes, it's to prevent the fires from occurring. Yes, I think we've talked about it.
But of course, the response time, I think you agree that many of the fires is the response time, is the time that the fire service gets to the scene that really causes the damage.
I was talking on that before you jumped in with another question. So what I'm saying is, people will tell you they've called the fire service. Meanwhile, they've called probably radio or television stations.
Of course.
They also put it on there. You can tell, you know how many stations we have in Ghana now. So how would you even know if fire service at a particular...
It comes back to this,
you understand?
this problem.
That is the problem. You may think you've called the fire service, but then the fire service may have not even received. And I'm saying
that it comes back to that 192 problem.
Exactly. So by the time the fire service
to check this?
Yes, I'm coming to it. By the time the fire service receives the call, you understand, and then they en route. Sometimes the call comes. It is less than 10 minutes. 10 seconds. The vehicle is dispatched, and then they leave to the scene. But look, let me also tell you this. Sometimes today, this morning, the same Achimota fire, somebody called and said it was at golf club.
Okay.
You understand? And then another person called and said, no, it's not at golf club, it's at overhead what. So sometimes location to the premises becomes a problem to the Ghana National Fire Service.
Okay.
When you call, people call, you ask them, oh, where is the fire coming from? So from Teshin, which part of Teshin? Say, when my house is on fire and I'm calling, you are asking me stupid questions. But if you don't give us the vivid direction, we get to Teshin and then you begin to ask. We get to Dansoma, where is it? Is it at Akukofoto? Or where? So these are some of the problems. The general public should understand the way we work. When you call, quickly, the FMC, that is Fire Master Control, when they pick the call, they dispatch the appliance. So the details you give to them, they would in turn communicate with the OIC, that is the officer in charge in the vehicle. So they can come to the exact location or the exact scene. You understand? But when you call and you don't give all those locations, sometimes they get somewhere, they try to find out from people, oh, where is the fire? Or they look out to see maybe where a smoke is coming from. And then these are some of the things that also distract us. You understand? And then with our choke roads, where we en route, we observe traffic rules. The fact that probably your premises is on fire doesn't mean we run routes on the streets and come. So if the siren is on and people don't pave way, it also becomes a problem.
Okay. There are many areas where you're having problems with fire tenders. Is it a situation that is overwhelming the fire service? Recently, when the boss office caught fire in Bupe, we're told there were no fire tenders. In the whole of the region, we're told they have only 3 fire tenders. How do you respond to this?
In fact, like Oliver Twist, I would say would ask for more. Over the years, all the successive governments have contributed their quota. This current administration is also doing marvelously well to the Ghana National Fire Service. But we can call, in fact, the tenders, they are vehicles. Anything can happen at any time. I was told about that incident, that in fact, that particular vehicle that was very close to where the incident happened was out of commission. You understand? Even when I was coming, the vehicle, you realize you called to find out if I was on my way coming. Yes, the vehicle in which I boarded had a problem and I had to leave that vehicle and bought another vehicle. So as for vehicles, anything can happen at any given time. You understand? Yes, but like Oliver Twist, like I said, we need more. So we are calling on NGOs and other people to come to the aid of the Ghana National Fire Service. It is always, you know, it's a government institution, so everything boils down on government to provide. But yes, if civil society and the NGOs will come to our aid, sure, why not?
But the Ghana National Fire Service has a budget that is given to you by government. Have you exhausted that and for you to ask civil society to come in to support you?
No, I won't say.
I mean, this challenge, I heard the commander, the regional commander of the fire service also insisting that they need more fire tenders and that government should supply them with it. So is it something that government is reneging on its duty of resourcing the Ghana Fire Service to actually put fires out when they occur?
You see, I wouldn't say the Ghana National Fire Service is under-resourced. But like I said, we would need more. We are expanding as a country. We are growing. More of these areas are developing and are becoming what, a metropolitan and other things. So yes, when you, in fact, as an organization, we are a bit challenged with some of
Are you challenged or you are a bit challenged?
You see, trends, modern trends of firefighting. You understand? Yes, it has moved away from most of this. But the individual also has a role to play. Okay. Have you played your role? Yes, we have played our role. We have trained our men. We have made sure we have. You see, we cannot say
with only 3 fire tenders, for instance, in a region.
Oh. It's not only 3 fire tenders. What we are saying,
I'm just giving you an example.
No, some of the fire tenders in the region were unserviceable. You understand? In fact, they are broken down, so they are not working. But it doesn't mean the whole region has 3 fire tenders. That is not what it is. Okay. What we are saying is the region has fire tenders, but some of them are not serviceable. Okay. They are out of commission. Okay. So are you using outmoded strategies of fighting fire? Because you say there are new ways of fighting fire. Are you saying that the fire service is not updating itself as to how to fight fires? No, not at all. As an organization, that is why I'm saying that we are properly positioned to fight any forms of fires. And
why, you can attest to that. Why are we still here?
Yes, I'm coming. You can attest to that. We watch televisions, you see other jurisdictions where they are more developed and they fight fires for days and weeks. We have never had any situation like that in Ghana. Are we waiting to have such situations? No. We have never fought fires for even a day. No fire in Ghana has gone beyond 24 hours. So you can see that we are really on top of issues. Okay. But what we are saying is modern trends are coming. They have helicopters that fight fires and other things. You understand? Yes. So these are some of the challenges that we are saying we are constrained with. Okay. You understand? But we are not saying as an organization we don't have the men. We have capable men, well-trained men who are capable of fighting any other fire. Okay.
Let's look at how we can prevent and control such fires, because as the Harmattan sets in, it looks like that is a factor that can cause a lot of fire and other activities too.
Yes, what we need to know is we are saying fire is a series of chemical reactions that produces heat and light. So if it is a series of chemical reactions, then that something must react with something in order for fire to take place. We've identified 3 elements. Those elements are oxygen, fuel, and heat. Oxygen, you know where we get our sources of oxygen. Yeah. What are the fuel? Fuel is anything that can burn at a particular temperature. So in this fuel, we have the solid one, we have the liquid ones, and then we have the gaseous ones. And then we can also talk of the heat. What are some of the sources of heat? If we are able to identify all these elements and make sure we pull them apart, then we'll prevent fires from occurring. What I want to tell the general public now is around this time, they should desist from burning indiscriminately. Okay. Those of you who are keeping flammable substances in your kitchen and other places should desist from it. They should move them from where they are, because the slightest mistake, the whole edifice or whatever it is will go up in flames. How about those who don't burn indiscriminately but still experience electricity and all of that? Yes, when we come to electricity, I believe this most of us are at a fault. You go to some of our houses and then you see broken or loose fittings. You understand? Those broken or loose fittings, you need to adjust your television, your radio set before it comes. All those you hear are not music to your ears. They are little sparks. You understand? And when some of these sparks, just a spark, falls on a flammable substance, it's enough to set your entire edifice ablaze. You understand? So these are some of the challenges. When we go to the farmland areas, we are telling them that around this time, don't burn at all. You can create the fire belt, but then embers will fly from, because you know the Harmattan is associated with a lot of wind. So embers will fly from where you are burning to other areas, and in fact it's capable of, so let's desist from using naked fires. And those of us who are using the naked fire, let us be careful the way we handle those fires. Make sure we put them out completely before we leave them.
Okay, I've seen you with some pointers. You want to share some of the tips?
Yes. As for these tips, they are more than necessary. I don't know if probably I have to leave some.
The most important ones you can share with us.
We are saying storage of, I think I've talked about that,
about
unauthorized electrical connections, like people doing connections, faulty connections, or bringing in quack electricians to come and do your wiring and other things. They can all lead.
Okay, so I think it's something that probably we can work on it.
Exactly.
Just summarize it for our viewers so that they can have some tips. Do not leave your curtains loose in the kitchen. Do not wear loose dresses when cooking. Do not put heavy objects on the cylinder. Do not keep your cylinders close to the stove. Please check for leakage on the holes connecting the cylinder and stove. Light matches before the gas is turned on, and that is for what? In the kitchen. You have electrical.
So let me in fact, as for the kitchen, it has been a major thing. So if you don't mind, I would like to.
You want to go through that?
Exactly.
Okay.
In fact, how do we put on our stoves, even our ladies when they are about to cook it?
Yeah, sometimes we turn it on first before we put the matches.
Yes, you see, the process by which you start cooking should be the very process by which you put off the cylinder. You understand? So before you cook, please make sure you go to the stove. When you go to the stove, check the knobs on the stove and make sure they are all off. Your kids see you play with it, so there's a tendency they may also play with it. And when I go through the process, you understand why I'm also saying that. You understand? When you check the knobs on the stove and they are all off, go to the cylinder, turn the regulator on the cylinder. Come to the burner, put on your matches, and then make sure you see the flames before you turn on the gas.
And even that, you should turn it to the lowest, not the highest.
Not to the highest, exactly. And then when you are done with cooking and you want to put it off, leave the food and the fire on. Go back to the cylinder and turn the regulator off. Gas trapped in the tube will burn out.
Do you have to turn the cylinder off before you go to the regulator?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. That turn off the regulator on the cylinder.
On the cylinder,
so that gas trapped in the hose will burn out. When it burns out, automatically the fire under the stove, under the food will go off. Yes, when it goes off, then you can turn your knob off. There's the likelihood that you may forget. That is why the following day, if you are going, and then, you know, when you don't go through that process, what happens is when sometimes people put it off from the burner, from the burner before they come to the stove. Then there's gas trapped in the tube. When a cubic of a centimeter is discharged into the atmosphere, it multiplies itself by 250 times. That is enough to set your entire edifice ablaze.
I think these are tips, very important tips that will be very helpful to all of us at our homes, in our kitchens, and there are some that tips on electricity and all of that. We'll put them together and share with our viewers. But I've been speaking with Assistant Station Officer with Public Relations Department of the Ghana National Fire Service, Michael Walter Okan. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine.
It's been very educative talking to you. We're still on the pulse of